closer to my router or fucking whatever.
Yeah, it was funny because like I could tell, but it got worse as we were doing it. And so by the end, it was like a real delay. And then because I didn't mention it until it was like obvious of you being like, what's happening?
Yeah, I was like, you're waiting such a long time to respond.
All right. I'm gonna take a sip of wine real quick. It's white wine, gross. Hello and welcome to week 1 of the hiatus.
Oh,
I know, it was intense, right?
yeah, that was super intense.
The hiatus. But we're still here kind of because we love you and we love attention.
Uh-huh.
So last year you'll remember that we did the John Cena smell test,
Yep.
but
Who
unfortunately,
could forget, really?
yeah, right?
I found
Unfortunately,
those in my closet today. We were like rearranging it, and I was like, oh shit, those tap belts are in there.
yeah, because all of them were good except for one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you were like, these will cover weed smell real well.
It's true. Although I've been using the rosewater perfume that you gave me instead, which has been very effective.
That I gave you? Didn't Emily give you that?
I think Emily gave it to you, and then you gave it to me because you also didn't want it.
That sounds accurate as hell.
That's what normally happens, so I assume that that's what happened.
You're like that like old lady in the labyrinth who just has a
Yes,
bunch of
I
stuff.
did that so many times. Absolutely. I just put it on, throw it on there, man. Look at
Oh
all
my
this cool
God.
stuff I have. Look at that one. It's glittery. Look at that one. It's got felt.
You need to get a tattoo of that lady. She's like your like soul's embodiment.
Yeah, she totally is. Maybe that's been my Patronus all along. I thought it was a hummingbird, but actually it's
No.
that lady from the labyrinth.
Yeah, she's for sure your Patronus. 100%. You got hummingbird energy for sure, but like that lady is who you are.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
Okay, so unfortunately, there is not another, or we couldn't come up with another brilliant John Cena smell test esque thing for the hiatus because, like, what are we going to eat? WWE fruit snacks? Spoiler alert, they're not very good. So,
A true disappointment, honestly.
we decided that we would take these 4 weeks and we would listen to or watch, not listen to. I mean, I guess you're doing both. Say multi-sensory experience wrestling. I'm so tired, you guys. What else is new? I should just start the podcast like that. Hi, I'm so tired. How are you?
Very busy. How are you?
So we're gonna over the 4 weeks, we're gonna watch 4 iconic wrestling promos that we've either never seen or never really talked about, and we're just gonna kind of break them down. So I picked this one this week because although I've listened to it before, we've kind of mentioned our AJ Lee is a problematic fave, and we want to dive into that someday. And I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity.
Hey, look at that.
So we listened to the AJ Lee Total Divas Pipe Bomb from August 26th of a year. I'll look it up. August 26th of 2013.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like right before we started watching. Because I think I started watching again in 2014.
Yeah. Whatever year was Punk's last Rumble, that was when I started watching again.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes sense to me because me and you were watching wrestling for about a year before we started the podcast, and we've hit 3 years in the podcast. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Oh my God, how our lives have changed dramatically in 4 years.
I know.
Disgusting, really.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, actually.
Yeah, it's a really short amount of time. Oh my God, that's embarrassing almost. Like, at least some people are like, I've been watching this since I was 2 years old and it's all I think about. And we're like, I don't know. It just took over our lives.
Yes. It's very easy to let that happen, apparently.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so we watched the pipe bomb. I'm going to splice it in to the podcast right now so you can listen to it. It's about 4 minutes long if you want to skip ahead, but if not, just as a refresher, if you want to listen to the promo, here it is. Drum roll, Aaron.
I can't do a drum roll. You know that.
That's Aaron's drum roll. Okay, and then we'll pause.
All right, I'm gonna hit this while we're in pause.
Oh, hit that bong.
Yeah, you know it. That's part of my podcast from home setup. Is I set my bong up and then I set my computer up.
Well, we all have a ritual.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Wow, that was so good. We totally just listened to that.
Yeah.
Even though I did just listen to it. You
I
did
also
too.
watched it like right before we started recording.
First, general thoughts.
I don't understand why this is it's weird to watch it from now and have the context that we do about everything that happens to the diva and then the women's division after this and is still happening with it, but like it doesn't feel like a pipe bomb in the same way that CM Punk's felt like a pipe bomb, because this is clearly scripted and they clearly knew this was going to happen to some extent. But also, like, she's right in a way that, like, they've acknowledged many times since then that, like, this is bullshit. Though it's weird because, like, only two of the women that she's talking about in this ring are no longer there. Like, the rest of them are actually still there and do work their asses off. And also, like, everything she was saying may have been true about, like, Eva Marie and the Bella Twins at this point, but like is not true of Natty. And so it feels very weird to know that like they both wrestled in the indies like together, and yet she's still part of this like total divas are trash and none of you know how to work thing, which like fair, but also not really true. I don't know. It was I guess I was just expecting it to be I don't know. I guess I kind of have to think of it in the context of the time that it aired. That probably was pretty shocking to hear someone say that actually on air. But it's also weird to look back and be like, I don't understand. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like I'm glad that it happened, I guess, because it feels like the first time they really addressed the fact that the Divas division was bullshit. But again, like so much has changed that it's like hard to think of this as controversial now.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is like if you think about it in the time, you're like, yeah, that's true. And to a large extent, that's like what we used to think about the Bellas and Eva Marie and stuff. Like we say this all the time, but we start our podcast with like a deep hatred of the Bellas.
Yeah.
But it's hard to think about this. It's hard to think about this promo in the context of time, like you're pointing out, because there has been such a, I hate to say it, evolution. And we've seen the growth of a lot of these women and seen the growth of the division. And AJ was definitely a really huge part of that. But also outside of wrestling, for me, my biggest problem with this promo, even though it is right, and that's what the division was, and my problem with AJ Lee, who again is a problematic fave. Like I have her book, I have met her a couple times. Like I love AJ Lee. I love watching old matches of her. I really, really love her. But the reason that she's a problematic fave for me is because there's just so much internalized misogyny in everything that she says that it's really hard for me to get behind that. And again, when I first started watching wrestling, I had a very similar opinion, but then thinking about it more in terms of entertainment and like as a business model and how women are viewed differently and the culture that of wrestling that they had to fight against. And like also it's okay to be really girly and wear $4,000 heels if you want to. Like having all of those different dichotomies pushing against each other and working against each other all at the same time, like there's so many layers that it's hard to break down sometimes. And so when she kept saying the main thing that she kept saying was like, you're a poor excuse for women.
Yeah,
like,
that was too far. That
right.
was like, ugh, this is just totally lost all ground with me about like everything that you're saying.
Right. And like if she said your poor excuse for a wrestler, I would have been like, yeah, but the women thing, like really disgusted me because it just played into misogyny, right? And then you hear fucking JBL and Jerry the King Lawler being like, whoo, I mean, she's right, but like she's fucking crazy, so who even knows?
Yeah, it's weird to hear the way that she's talked about as like again, inside the context of the time that it's happening, it makes a lot of sense, but also like that was shitty and it is still shitty in many ways. And like I think part of me too has been so conditioned to think of AJ Lee's pipe bomb as the thing that actually happened on Twitter when she called Stephanie out about women not being paid the same amount as men. And
For
so
sure.
this feels kind of like a really gross contrast to that in many ways, like you're saying, because it does feel like a gross internalized misogyny rant at couple of points. And it's like she did all this other really great work, and yet this is like it speaks to where the company was at all that this is how they paint her, even though she is the direction that the company moves in after she leaves.
Yeah, it must be really hard to be AJ Lee to be like, I did all this stuff without all of the support, and now
Yeah.
everybody, even people who she thinks maybe don't deserve it, get all of that support and get to do all this stuff. But like, I would argue that a lot of it wouldn't have been possible without a wrestler like her. But it must be tough to be her. I just think and think about it. It must be very frustrating. I would be frustrated.
Yeah, it probably is very frustrating. And also she has like the perfect sounding board of person who has been like deeply wronged by this company also. So I feel like that maybe helps. That like
Yeah.
she's with someone who like truly understands what that was like and who really understands what it was like for her. And so like I've always kind of thought that they were a sort of a weird perfect couple, but I think in the end like they really did make a perfect couple because no one else understands what that's like probably.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But this pipe bomb also really reminded me of that passage in her book that really blew up and people were thinking really negatively about it. And I think if she had written the book at the time of the pipe bomb, it would not have gotten like the Twitter traction that it did. But she, she wrote it, I think last year, or it got released last year. But it was that passage where she was talking about selfies being only taken by people who have like daddy issues and who are like self-centered and like just really cutting down like social media culture, which is easy to do, and I understand that. But there's also like, you know we're both very big into social media, but in a more community-esque way, and it's a thing that she just makes it seem like anybody uses social media as like a dumb bitch. But like, also, like you pointed out when that came out, like a lot of people use social media as like a mental health thing to be like, hey, I
Yeah,
took this
absolutely.
selfie of me today to show you all that I'm doing okay and I want to connect with you. Or some people use social media to feel connected, or some people use social media to get their workout. And some people use social media to show off their rad lipstick, and that's fucking okay. And I think that this pipe bomb really reminded me of like the troublesome passages, which is really interesting because her book is all about being open and accepting of like mental health, but at the same time she has such deep resentment and judgments of people that it's like a really kind of hypocritical in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
I mean, she's still wearing like a crop top and booty shorts and wrestling, and yeah, she's wearing Chuck Taylors, but like she's still
Yeah,
being
she's
sexualized. Her whole
yeah.
thing was that she was like a crazy girl who like made out with guys and stole boyfriends and like, I mean, was a
And
good
like the
wrestler
thing
and was an anti diva, but also like did really traditionally female, quote unquote. And that's definitely the era that she was in, and she was fighting against it, but she also had to work within the system. And I get all of that, but it's just like massively hypocritical in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like I think that her personality on WWE television was kind of her real personality turned up to 11, which is like best case scenario. That's how it really works best most of the time with wrestling. But I like, and I do really like her. But again, problematic fave makes me think this. It kind of feels like her personality is molded around like girls don't play video games, but I play video games. Like that is
Right.
kind of like her whole deal. And it's that again, it's just rooted in like super deep internalized misogyny. That's all it is. Like if you talk to other women, you find out that like that's not true.
Right.
That there are huge communities of women who do these things. I mean, that was the whole fucking point of this podcast when we started it, is that we were being told over and over that women don't like watch wrestling or like wrestling or don't talk critically about wrestling. And it's like that's garbage. It's absolute nonsense. Those communities exist. They just don't have the resources oftentimes to be upfront and be at the front of things a lot of the times. And so I feel like I understand why AJ feels that way, but like I don't know, maybe be nicer to your coworkers and she'll find out that and like it's just so strange. Like she's part of the WWE like tournament and like blows all these people out of the water, but then like now that's normal. Like it's normal that women in WWE do that. That's like now that they've moved away from like drug and bar culture after shows, almost everyone plays video games and like it feels so weird to have that remnant of like, but I'm special because I do this. And it's like, no,
But
not
you also have to
really.
think, but you also have to think about like that's probably how she got picked up and pitched to WWE as like she's different. And so like you play into that a lot more. And then, you know, when you play that quote character every day, like it just becomes it's just really complicated. And again, I want to point out still one of my absolute favorites. And like I
Oh
would
yeah.
do a freaking black backflip if she like came back. Like I really, really like her and I want the best for her and I'm still gonna support her. She wrote another book, I would buy the book. But like it is worth talking about. Like internalized misogyny. I feel like this is my fucking catchphrase, but internalized misogyny is like super duper real.
Hmm.
And it's
Absolutely.
important to like there's not only problems with the men, but there are problems with the way that women talk to each other. And like I feel like this pipe bomb, even though at the time a lot of the points were super, super valid,
Hmm.
it's just like complicated.
Yeah, 100%.
I do want to talk about the reactions of the women in the ring though, because Natty was
I
just
agree.
standing there. Natty was just standing there like, yes, uh-huh. Yeah. She had like no reactions and was like, I agree. Uh-huh.
That's what I was saying. It was weird because it's like we I guess at the time people did not know that Natty had like actually wrestled before and had fought for a really long time to get there. But because she's immediately promoted as a heart, it's like, oh well, you just got a ticket. Like that's not actually true. Natty worked for a super long time in order to be because she doesn't look like fucking the Bella twins. So it took a long time for them to be like, okay, we'll hire you and put you on TV. And so it's weird to watch her sit there, like you said, just be like, yep. Uh-huh.
And
So
also,
it's
it was
weird.
really smart of Natty to take the Total Divas gig because it made everyone, I
Yeah.
think, it made everyone like really endeared to Natty. And I think if Natty had passed on Total Divas, she would maybe have either A been released or would definitely not be in the position that she is now.
Oh, I would 100% agree. Absolutely.
Um, it was funny to watch JoJo stand there because she was like, I have no personality. I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
It's so funny to think about how much JoJo has blossomed since leaving Total Divas and becoming a ring announcer. But she, like, on Total Divas season 1 and as a wrestler, it was just like, what is happening?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
I guess who really gives a shit about Cameron? That's not very nice, but
Girl, bye.
girl, bye. Um, I mean, I'm obviously a huge Naomi stan, so I was like, how dare you talk to Naomi that way, AJ? How dare you?
And like was a dancer before she came. So it also feels like this stuff doesn't really apply to her either. Like she's an athlete, she works her ass off and everybody knows that. But again, maybe at the time people didn't know that. Maybe that was not as well known. And it's like, oh well,
Right,
she's beautiful, so she just got this because of that. And it's like, well, kind of, but no. It's she also had to work in a way that Natty did in order to like really earn her
right,
and for years after this even continued to like really bust her ass and has proven herself to be part of that like
right.
evolution and
Even with
active part of it.
Total Divas, I mean, she got kicked off like 2 or 3 times. Like she's had to bust her ass, and only since the them allowing her to do the glow gimmick has she really actually found her place and like become the star that she definitely deserves to be. But she had to work really hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then of course there are the Bella twins and Eva Marie, who are for some reason outside the ring and dressed up like pinups. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I have absolutely no idea. I thought honestly the thing I was the most surprised about in this whole pipe bomb was that the Bellas just screamed through the whole thing, like really screamed. It was like hard to hear at some points, and I was like, damn, AJ Lee is like a fucking champ. It would be so hard to do this with them just like shrieking at you that whole
Say
time.
that to my face. Say that to
Yeah,
my
you're
face.
just jealous. You're just jealous.
She is saying it to your face. I
Yeah,
don't.
come down here. No, go up the ramp.
It was just funny because Brie and Nikki, especially Brie, were like really getting into it. And then Eva was like, yeah, I'm also here.
I did like when AJ Lee was like, you women walk out here and do this, and Nikki just screamed, you skip! And they just kept yelling, you skip at her. And I was like, that's a fair point.
And then when AJ skipped off, they all like started like hoedown skipping. Like
Yeah.
They did it did make them look super juvenile though, because it was like,
Oh yeah, it
you
was
guys are
effective.
acting so petty and so stupid. It is really not helping your case at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very effective. Like, it's weird that the storytelling is so terrible, but like sometimes people nail it inside of this like shitty
Yeah.
stories. Like sometimes people just really get it and like really understand how to just make people furious.
I want somebody, if you guys remember watching this live or if you remember the context, because I don't want to do any research, why the fuck were they dressed like that?
Yeah,
Like,
really curious.
what the fuck? So stupid. And before I remember years ago somebody asked us like what our entrance music would be and like what would our like whole gimmick be, and I was like, oh, I'd be like an evil pinup, which is so funny now thinking about Lacey Evans, and I'm like, nope, hard pass. I would
Hard,
not
hard pass.
do any of that.
Oh my god. You could do that on the indies because you could control your own like creative decisions, but as soon yeah, you got
But
rid
I've
of
like passed my pinup phase, so I'd probably. But there's so many like scary goth girls now. I don't know what I would be. I don't know what my like gimmick would be. I'd probably be more in the like Veda Scott vein, where I was just like a know-it-all bitch, or my glasses to the ring.
See, it's funny because I totally picture you as like a Dalton Castle-esque raven-haired woman who wears like caftans and speaks very extravagantly to people. I can like you playing
Honestly,
like a
I feel like you
63
nailed
year old.
it.
Yeah, like you playing like a 63-year-old retiree from like a rich part of Florida. Like that is who your wrestling character is.
I'm just like a madam. I just come out in like fur coats and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Grey Gardens, but without the crazy mom or all of the dead animals.
Or the cat food.
I mean, maybe it's up to you. That's great. See, you have your own creative control.
I was listening to something the other day and I was like, no, this would be my like wrestling entrance theme. And I can't remember. I would have to go back on my playlist and listen because I was like, no, this is my updated, because it used to be Let's Have a Kiki
Yeah,
by
that's
the
what
Scissor
always
Sisters,
it always
which
makes
is
me think of you.
still great. It's
It is,
still a great choice.
yeah, it is. Even for this character would be a great choice.
Let's have a Kiki just in my caftan.
Yeah. Spinning out to the ring.
That's so funny. Any other thoughts about this promo? I don't know how we got onto me and my wrestling character.
Pinups, that's why.
Oh, pinups. Like, why were they dressed like this? It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I'm also very curious about that. No, I think that's it.
Well, next week we'll be back with a different promo that we haven't picked out.
Ooh.
And we'll be back in January with real podcasts.
Yay.
Hope your December's going swell. I don't know how to sign off.
I don't know.
I think that works. Hope your December's going swell.
Yeah, I think that's good too. You can find us on the internet. I'm at EarnGenC.
I'm at Stella_Cheeks. You can use the hashtag #NotYourDemoPod to interact with us online.
You can send us an email at notyourdemo@gmail.com.
You should find us on iTunes, where you should rate, review, and subscribe.
You can buy some of our merch at whatamaneuver.net. It's good. You should buy some.
And you should subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/notyourdemopod.
While we're on hiatus, we'll have stuff up on the Patreon as well. So extra incentive.
Woo, woo, woo. That's it. We got 2 words for you.
Lady Pipe Bomb?
Lady Bum Bum?
Lady Pipe Bomb? Yeah, Lady Bum Bum is more appropriate. Let's just go with that, actually.
I swear to God, I don't know. It must have been a delay on the Google Hangout, but I thought you for sure said Lady Bum Bum.
Yep, those are our 2 words this week. Lady Bum Bum.
Remote. Okay. I can't believe that. I thought you said Lady Bum Bum.
It's very funny.
Okay. Do you have the cards in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Let's do a Thanksgiving thing, and then you can pull however many cards you want. Woo, Patreon special.
Woo, woo.
Gobble, gobble.
Oh.
Did you ever come to my house when I used to do the Friendsgiving, the
Yeah,
Thanksgiving? Okay.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them. I think I was only there for the viewing of Thanksgiving once or twice, though. Actually, yeah, definitely at least twice.
I obviously like hosting Thanksgiving for my family and having a fiance and all of those wonderful things that I have,
And the
bragging.
fiance or fucking whatever.
But I do miss hosting a Friendsgiving. We used to host Friendsgiving and then we would watch Thanksgiving. And if you haven't seen Thanksgiving, it's like the
You
greatest
have
fucking movie. It's so
to
terrible.
watch.
I tried to get people to watch it this Thanksgiving. I kept being like, gobble, gobble, motherfucker. And they were like, we're not watching that. And I was like, come on, there's so many nice tits, bitch. That's what the turkey says. That's the first line in the movie. The evil turkey is chasing down a pilgrim movie. Or spoiler, the evil turkey is chasing down a pilgrim woman with her boob out. This is not a good movie.
At least
And
two.
at least 2 boobs, maybe more.
It's a very
And he
ample woman.
catches her and then goes, nice tits, bitch. And then murders her because it's a horror movie, kind of. But it's about an evil turkey who murders people and is also very horny. It's not great. It's not feminist in the least.
Very funny.
But it is very funny. And you should watch it.
Be drinking while you're watching it, probably.
And you should watch it with people. Do not watch it alone. That would be sad.
No, that's sad. Don't do that. Absolutely not.
How was your
minimum?
How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was really nice. Michael and I went out to White Eagle, the place that we got married.
You saw Wanda.
Saw Wanda, Stella's arch nemesis. Oh God, I saw her when we walked in, and I was like, "Was that Wanda?" And then we were walking into the room to get seated to have our dinner at 2:00, and Michael goes, "Erin," and I turn around, and there's Wanda, and I was like, "Oh God."
Oh no.
She was so nice. She was like, "Oh, how are you? Happy anniversary. I hope things are going well." It was like really nice. It was like, "Oh, I won't keep you. Have fun." And I was just like, "Okay."
Bye, Wanda.
Thanks, Wanda. The weirdest thing about Wanda is like she was great to us the day of the wedding, but like everyone else has just horror stories.
Such a bitch.
So that was fun. We did all that. I got a plate for Andrew and a plate of desserts, and I texted him. He was like, "I was so high on Sunday, I totally forgot. I said that I was gonna do this, but I will absolutely still come over." I was like, "You fucking idiot." You stoner doofus. And so he came over and we hung out and watched a bunch of old Monty Python, and as though there is new Monty Python. We watched the rest of Monty Python. I got very high and drank some beers and ate a bunch of leftovers. It was really fun. We had a really good time. And then on Black Friday, I stayed on my couch and watched an embarrassing amount of the X-Files. So much. I watched, oh God, I finished season 5, watched the first movie, watched the first 2 episodes of season 6. Michael had to work the UFC on Saturday and had to be up at 2 in the morning, and so he went to bed at 7. And so it was just me. I did all my shopping online and then was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna power through and watch a bunch of X-Files, and that is what I did. And it felt great. I was really happy that I did it, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like a nice self-care moment of I just am gonna indulge in the fact that I have nothing to do, I have nowhere to be, and nobody to talk to, and I just want to watch the X-Files for 5 hours. And it felt very satisfying.
You deserve to treat yourself.
Yeah, that's what I agree with that. Absolutely. Did you do any Black Friday shopping?
Yeah, but kind of all for me.
I got a couple of things for myself as well. There is, on the Birdie Bee website, there's a Be Strong hat that's on sale for $9. And I'm like, I already spent a bunch of money on myself this weekend. Although a bunch of my gifts already came. I ordered them on Black Friday and they are fucking here and ready to go already. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I did it, I guess.
Well, I bought a bunch of stuff for the bridesmaids and for the wedding. And then I'm doing a new act. Well, I'm not doing a new act. I'm revamping one of my signature acts for New Year's. And so there was a bunch of things that, there was a bunch of rhinestones on sale and this headdress that I want to build off of. So I was like, well, New Year's is very close. So
that's true. It is good to think ahead, and you want to not cosplay Nightmare it and do it the night before.
Right. Yeah, I'm redoing my Dionysus costume and I'm making it very more of a Maynard costume with horns. And it's gonna be, because the show I'm doing is 7 Deadly Sins themed, which is cliche and stupid, but whatever. But I'm gonna do my Maynard Dionysus Bacchanal number, and I'm gonna be Gluttony. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck it. I've been wanting, it's one of my signature acts. It's one of my favorite. I've been wanting to redo the costume for a while. So I'm like, this is the perfect excuse. So
Yeah. Ooh, that's so exciting.
I'm
That'll be
so
fun.
excited.
Yay.
But our Thanksgiving was really good. We hosted, and my best friend and maid of honor, Ray Ray Sunshine, look her up.
She was
She
so cute. Her outfit that she was wearing, I was like, girl, she goes to the nines all the time.
she's the
I love
best.
it. She's
Well,
like Rana Glickman from Throwing Shade. That's kind of what she reminds me of a little bit, actually.
that's really funny. Well, she is from the South, so she's a very good cook, and I am not a very good cook. So her and my mom kind of make all of Thanksgiving, and then I set up and I make a bomb ass cheese plate, and I make a good cocktail, but I do like the cleaning and I set the table and things like that. So it was me, Nick, Ray Ray, my mom, and Nick's parents, and it was so lovely and great. And Ray Ray got really cute and drunk, and it was so fun. And then I just kind of hung out with my mom. We went shopping, Small Business Saturday at the boutique I work at. It was
Yeah.
fun because I like helped pick out outfits for my mom and for Ray Ray, and like they both deserve to like treat themselves a little bit. So like that was really fun. And then
Oh,
my mom, I had a show last night at the House of Blues, and my mom and Nick came. So
oh
it
nice.
was really fun. It was a live band show, and I was a little nervous because I've been so focused on school, I haven't performed that much, and I was like, "Ugh, I feel like shaking the cobwebs off." But it was such a good group of people. The band was really good, like great audience. Like we all killed it. My mom had like a really good time.
Oh, good.
At one point, so live band is like improv burlesque, and so at one point I kind of finished in the band because it's a blues band. Like they were going on a little bit longer than I anticipated, and so I was like, oh, I got like at least one more like chorus to fill. So I just grabbed the tip bucket and I went up to my mom and I made my mom tip me. And then I was like, that's my mom. And everybody cheered and then they gave me more tips.
Perfect.
It was pretty great. I was like, wow, more tips if your mom's in the audience, I guess.
Yeah, people are like, we support this woman taking her clothes off in front of her mom for sure.
Yeah, so it was actually like a really nice weekend.
Good, I'm glad.
Just as like a little bonus extra, you don't have to just listen about our Thanksgiving holidays. We're gonna do some of our what do you call them? Aaron's big stack of weirdo questions.
Yeah, that is what we should call them. Aaron's big stack of weirdo questions.
We're
These
gonna
are
do
the hundreds of questions I prepared before we interviewed Joey Ryan because I was like, we are not gonna fuck up this interview. That's for sure. So and it's the questions that we also used when we did the natural demographic crossover. Like we have just scratched the surface. I have easily another 70 questions we haven't even fucking gotten to yet. So
what happens if we run out? Are you gonna make more?
yeah, of course I'll make more.
Yeah, of course, bitch.
I've added a couple since I started this stack. Every time I hear a good one, I write it down and stick it in.
That's what she said.
All
All right. Pick from the pile.
Let's see. I've got to separate out the ones we've already done.
That's what she said.
I don't think it works like that. Okay.
No, I don't think so either.
All right. Let's see. Let's spread them out. And I'm going to pick. All right. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, this is one with Joey Ryan. How much sawdust could you put Joey Ryan's Krispy Treat? That's fine.
No. Rip that one up. I thought I told you to rip that one up.
I don't know. It was in the pile. It just regenerates every time I rip it up. It's like, no, bitch.
Yeah, I feel like every time we do this, that question gets pulled, and it's like freaking me out. I hate that question.
It's in the done pile. It should be officially flipped over now. Okay. All right, here we go. What are some things that sound like compliments but are actually insults?
Oh, God. That I've like been given. Anytime you use the word actually, you're like, wow, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
you actually look okay. Or like, oh, you actually look really pretty. Actually is the
funny. Yeah.
neatest word.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I've definitely said it to people before and been like, oh, fuck, I did not mean to add that word, but it came out of my mouth. Fuck.
Me too. I remember, so a friend is a drag performer and I had never seen them do fire poi before. And I'm not a big fan of poi because I feel like most people don't do it well. It's one of those things that's like, yeah, I can do poi. And you're like, can you? So when they said that they were going to do poi, I was like, okay, whatever. And then they did it and it was incredible. Like they did such a good job. And afterwards I was like, I really meant it as a compliment, but I was like, oh my God, that was actually really good. And it was in a group of people and I was like, that's not what I meant. I meant that it was really, really good. I haven't seen a lot of poi that's been good, and that the actually was for the poi. You are very good. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. That's a good one.
And it was in
Oh.
like a big group of people, and I was like, "Oh, I just look like such a bitch."
That's a good one. All right, that's good. Sorry, I'm gonna pull another one. All right, here we go. What's your favorite kind of sandwich?
How can you pick only one? I love sandwiches.
I did not know that.
I love sandwiches. Oh,
Really?
yeah. What a sandwich is such a fucking perfect. Oh, I love it so much. I can pick favorite ones at restaurants. At Panera Bread, my two favorites are the Italian BMT. No, that's not what it's called. The Italian. It's just called the Italian at Panera. Whatever. The one on ciabatta bread, super good.
Okay.
And then I really like the bacon turkey Bravo. That was my first job, was working at Panera. So I have like a lot of feelings about Panera.
Yeah, understandable.
I love Panera. When I go to Subway, I get an Italian BMT. That is Subway. And then I get like a bunch of veggies and a bunch of pickles and then a little bit of ranch, which sounds gross, but you have to say only easy because they put too much on it. And Subway is gross, but sometimes you just crave a gross Subway sandwich.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is from Slim's in Chicago. I love their chicken po.
Yes, their spicy chicken po' boy is so good.
Their spicy chicken po' boy is so fucking good.
That might be one of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
It's
I think that might be the best sandwich. My favorite sandwich.
We can land on spicy chicken po' boy. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that one's really good. Their spicy shrimp po' boy is also very good.
Ooh, I've not had that.
Yeah, I don't know if they feature it all the time. It might have just been something that like comes on and off the menu, but I've had it from them a few times and it's fucking really good.
You know what? A po' boy is kind of a perfect sandwich. Have you ever had a fried oyster po' boy? Have you ever had a fried oyster po' boy? Because holy shit.
That sounds fucking delicious.
Dude, we got to go to New Orleans and get you some po' boys because po' boys that's a perfect fucking sandwich right there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would absolutely agree with that. Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
I'm like salivating.
Right? Like, oh damn, that sounds so good. Like, what time is it? Is Slim still open?
Oh yeah, you're in the delivery zone. I'm not anymore.
Oh
yeah. I used to live 2-minute walk from there, and now I'm like out of the delivery zone, and it's the worst.
Yeah, we're like the very edge of it, I think, and I'm dreading the day they're like, you know what, fuck that neighborhood. Oh man.
Next time I come over, oh my god, I'm coming over on Saturday. Can we get Slims?
Yeah, we should totally do that.
Fuck yes.
Fuck yes. All right, want to do one more?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Pulling one more out. What was your favorite toy growing up?
I had a baby doll that it was so weird. It's like a terrifying baby doll. So it was a baby doll. It had a little purple polka dotted pink dress, or no, it had a purple polka dotted dress, and then it didn't have any hair, but it wasn't bald. The hair curls were like part of the plastic of its head. So it was just like weird. Yeah, but it wasn't, it was just like part of the mold, right? So it like had hair, but it was weird. And then it was one of those dolls that if you tipped it, the eyes would blink.
Ooh, creepy.
And I called it Baby, and Baby was my favorite. I still have Baby somewhere. She's creepy as hell, and I love her.
That's kind of a surprising answer, but I guess not. I guess most girls are given like baby doll toys, and so a lot of people have those like attachments to those.
You know what's so funny? Like working in a preschool, it is weird. I don't know if it's because it's probably because it's reinforced at home where like girls are given babies and stuff. But like when I'm watching kids like play at school, girls go right for the fucking baby dolls. It is fucking weird. Not all girls, obviously. That's a huge generalization. And there are definitely boys that play with babies and stuff too. And again, it's probably just reinforced at home. And so like that's where they're learning it. But it's just like really trippy sometimes to be like, yeah, they are all just carrying around baby dolls. And it is weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's super weird.
It's so weird for like kids. If you really think about it, like a 2-year-old carrying around a baby is fucking weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if it's not something that you're encouraging with both boys and girls, it does have this like weird creepy connotation of like this is your role in life and this is what you will do. Like I understand the idea of like a doll is there to teach a child to have compassion and to care about something, but like should we not also be doing that with boys? Like that seems kind of intuitive, but yeah, I mean, you're right. It's just what's being reinforced at home, which is fucked up.
It's so weird.
It's super weird.
What was your favorite?
Let's see, did I have a favorite toy? I don't know. I also had a doll that I really liked. It was like a I called it Cupid. It was not a Cupid doll. Those things are super fucking creepy. It it was instead a different kind of creepy doll. It was a soft toy, and so it was this like blonde like it was shaped sort of like a fat loaf of bread. It had this
Ew.
pale pink skin. It was skin. It was like white people's skin. It was like the right color for that. It was weird, and but her hair was made of like blonde yarn, and it's how I learned how to braid. I would just sit and I would play with her hair, and I would like braid all of her hair and then unbraid it. And it's like I had short hair, so I was never part of the like braiding circles when I was a kid, and so it was like an activity that I did by myself at home, which is in hindsight probably says a lot about me as a person. So that was the one that I probably spent the most time with. I think that's the one I think most fondly of. I had a couple.
So,
I had like a toy chest I really loved that I remember my
just the
parents
chest that
buying.
you put the toys in, you're like, I love this chest.
Yeah, it was this really pretty wood chest. My mom still has it at her house. I covered it in stickers, and my mom had to pay to have it like refurnished after I moved out. I was like, yeah, fair. I fucked that up when I was a kid because I loved it and I wanted to like put my things on it.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that like breaks my heart a little bit. I wish that all the stickers were still there.
Yeah, I get it. I like as an adult, I totally understand because it is a very, very nice piece of like woodwork, and so I understand why as an adult she would be like, "Oh, you truly probably should. I should not have given this to you. I should have waited until you were older and I could deal with this." So I like understand, and I had like a vanity that I covered in stickers that still is covered in stickers. It's like
Okay.
a
As long
really
as something is covered
yeah.
in stickers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like parts of my childhood bedroom are still the same. My parents just have like not changed some things. They're like, whatever, just leave it.
Whatever. This bitch.
Whatever.
I
We'll
don't
never
have a
change.
room still.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your house is not your house anymore.
Nope. Should I
uh,
feel sad? I don't.
about the porch.
Well, I mean, that doesn't, I mean, I was old too, like when I
Yeah,
had that. I don't
that's
have like
fair.
a childhood bedroom.
Fair. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I still have
my
access to the porch.
yeah, true. My childhood bedroom, I guess, starts at like ninth grade. That's when we moved into the house my parents are at. So that's my childhood bedroom. Have you ever heard that story about the the guy who bought my actual childhood house? Have I ever told you that?
Oh my God, no, tell it.
We used to live in this house that was like right across the street from my middle school, and it was the house that my mom and my stepdad moved into right before they got married. It was like they moved in before the summer or like before the summer was over so we could start at the school like in time, and then they got married in November. And so we lived there for oh man, I was like 7 when we moved in. So we lived for like almost 10 years. No, that's not right. Like 8 years. And this guy like showed up and knocked on our door one day. We'd been like thinking about maybe moving and had decided against it and had like looked at a couple houses the year before, including the one that my parents now live in. And this guy showed up and knocked on my parents' door and was like, "Hi, I'm recently divorced and I have 2 sons that are now in my custodial care and I'm looking for a house to live in, and can I buy your house?" And my parents were like, "What?" He was like, "I've looked around this neighborhood and I really like the way that it's developing and it seems like it's a really thriving community and my kids go to this school and I was just wondering if you would maybe be willing to relocate if I like paid you more than this house is worth basically." So he like wrote my parents a check.
That's
And
insane.
and it just happened to be during like the housing crisis when everything like bottomed out, so everything was really cheap. And so my parents got the house that they're in now for like way, way less than it's worth. They just happened to luck out because this dude wanted to buy our house. Isn't that
And they were
fucking
like,
weird?
sure.
Right? We like talked about it as a family, and my parents were like, I guess we can't really say no to this. We were like looking for a reason anyway, and now I guess we're gonna do this.
That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, and we used to call him Casper because he was like very, very pale. He was just like a very pale, very thin man, and
Do you
like
think he was a ghost?
I don't know, maybe it was such a strange situation. He'd like never seen the inside of the house either. He was just like, I know that this is the right house for me, and then he saw the inside and was like, Yep, this is it.
Yep, this is the one.
I'm
Pack
really
her
curious.
up.
I'm really curious if he still lives there. I would love to go knock on the door and be like, "Hi, why did this happen?"
You should.
I should do that.
I'll
That
go
would be
with you so you don't get murdered.
right. Yeah. Hey, sup, Casper?
And who's like, I'm sorry, who's Casper? And you're like, oh yeah,
Uh,
you, you're Casper. Did you not know that?
I mean, his children must be like full ass adults now. They were only a little bit younger than Megan and I were, so it's so bizarre.
Well, on that weird note,
Anyway, yeah.
I'm gonna go make some cookies and trim my tree.
Oh, exciting.
How?
Not a euphemism. Not a euphemism.
I mean, I might have sex too. I don't know.
Doesn't trim your tree mean clean up your pubic hair?
Oh, I did that yesterday. I had a show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't have anything left to trim.
Oh, the life of a burlesque dancer.
Oh, so ridiculous. You guys know the whole thing. You're the Patreon. We don't have to do this. You all follow us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. See you later, Tater.
Bye.
Bye.